you send your information to? I mean, just think about your business and who are you reaching out to?
There's marketing efforts, there's sales efforts, there's customer service efforts. All of those customer emotions and data all live within the CRM.
For you to be a successful thought leader, you need to be somebody who is thought of when people think about your subject.
At Growth, we strive to do great business with companies who do great business.
And once again, welcome and everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Really excited to have you guys here. Cool, that worked. Okay, so as always, welcome in everybody. This time around is going to be a little bit different. We're live streaming this to LinkedIn. So if you're joining us through LinkedIn, thank you for joining. Drop a comment afterwards. Let us know what you thought about the session. But as always, my name is Rick Barcellos, brand and community manager here at Growth and the host of the micro lessons. And today I have a member from my own team at Growth joining me and my manager, Rich. Say hi to the people.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on again, Rick.
We're going to be talking about HubSpot CoPilot, Remix, AI, all exciting things about HubSpot. So where do we get started?
Yeah, so I'll jump in. We've been playing with CoPilot. We're gearing up for a Breeze cohort here at Growth. And, I wanted to put CoPilot and Remix to the test and just kind of see how things were working. And as we've been learning and digging, I thought it'd be a good idea to share some of these tidbits, eh?
Yeah. So this is going to be a different micro lesson, right? It's going to be a little bit more conversational. This is a little less structured than we usually do this, but we're going to open those up live to you guys and put them to work. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with Copilot, I think there's just like so many areas of marketing that HubSpot's hoping Copilot will, and sales, right, and service, but we're going to, I think, primarily focus into the marketing conversation here today. I think there's so many areas that Copilot's set to start impacting like the time savings aspect and everything else, making things more convenient and efficient. But that's like a really broad statement, right? So like maybe we can start showing people something specific, like for example, reporting.
Yeah.
What we can do in that area.
For sure. So, I mean, one of the things as part of the marketing team that I am constantly needing to do, it's going into the reports and getting a sense of how the team is doing. And I know like Chris will ask me, how many leads have we been generating? What are we doing? What are the actions? And traditionally that's taken time, unless you built out the reports very well, it takes time to dig into and figure out and go, okay, well, what did we generate? How did those things come out? And what I really found inside of Copilot from a marketing use case is it's easier to bring that information to the surface. So for example, I'm on a marketing dashboard right now. I've got Copilot open, and you can do that just by clicking up on Copilot up on the top nav here inside of HubSpot. And, think about it like having a conversation. So I've got 5 minutes to jump into a meeting with the executive team, and I need to know how we've been doing. So I can come in here and I can just say, how many leads did we drive last month? It's a pretty basic question, but it'll give a little answer here. It takes a few seconds because it's going through and it's compiling all of the data. But here, very simple answer. Okay. Last month you drove a total of 3,500 leads. This reflects the count of contact create attributes during that period. Boom. Perfect. I have the information I need now. And I can go and dig into that a bit further. How many of these were marketing qualified? Whichever. And I can continue to ask questions and have those conversations to know exactly what I need to report on. Now, sometimes you're going to be hit messages like this where I couldn't get that specific information, which is okay. You can always come in here and you can click on the edit in report builder and then start building out that report and getting the information you need. Okay. The other aspect in marketing is content creation, right? So we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what content we can create. We can look at all the analytics and we can see how people are interacting with the content that we're producing, the queries that they're using to find us. But all of that data is already inside of HubSpot. So why don't I just ask HubSpot what content I should be creating? And I can do that through Copilot. I'm just going to start a new chat.
And that's the really cool thing. Just like I see sometimes people talking about, hey, like, what's the difference between me generating content from like something like Copilot and then just like putting something on ChatGPT? The real difference is like Copilot, it's your HubSpot, it has all the data of your company, so it has the context that it needs on a much deeper level than with ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give the same answer to
Exactly.
people if they ask the same question.
Yeah, and it just always goes to, the ChatGPT is only as good as the prompt that you're giving it. And it's not trained on all of your data. I mean, you can set it up to do that, but you've already got it here inside of Breeze. So like, let's utilize it. So for this example, I'm going to say, give me 5 diverse ideas for blog posts that will help drive leads towards my growth operations consultancy. So you could put, whatever your business is here. But go ahead and hit enter. It's going to start thinking about it and it'll start generating. So it's pretty quick. So here we let me just scroll up. So unlocking potential, how growth operations can transform your business, the future of business, integrating AI into growth ops, building a resilient business, strategies for effective change management, data-driven decisions, the role of analytics in growth operations. What's really cool is you're going to get different ideas every time. It's not always going to be the exact same idea, but we have inside of our HubSpot portal gone in and trained it. And we've said, these are the products and services that we use. These are our ideal customers. So it's taking all of that plus our analytics and saying, here's what we think you should be doing. Now, let's go ahead and let's take this second one, the future of business, integrating AI into growth ops. Now, I could sit here and I could write a blog post from scratch, or I can come in here and I can click on the all prompts. And if I just search for blog, I can go generate blog post. Okay. Now it's got a nice little prompt here that you can fill in some blanks. So I can go growth operations firm, and I'm going to paste in that topic that I generated. And then I just got to think of what action I want them to take. So for instance, I'm just going to say schedule a call with a rep from growth operations firm. Okay. Go ahead and just hit submit. And now what Copilot is doing is it's thinking and it's looking at everything. And now it's generating a first draft that I can edit. And that's like the really important piece here is you need to consider this an iterative approach. You're taking pieces from an idea stage and creating that draft. And now you're more of an editor than you are needing to fully create. So while that's doing that, do you have any questions, Rick? Because that's going to take a minute.
No, well, what I was going to say is like, I mean, especially for me, Rich, you know this about me. I am an overwriter, right? I write too much. So if you give me a blog to write, I'll write you 10 pages.
You'll write me a novel.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll write you a brand new book. And then there's a lot of professionals with the other issue, which is what do I write, right? Like, where do I get started? So I think there's different points in the journey of every company. Obviously, a lot of companies are established enough that they know exactly what they want to be sharing, the kind of content that they want to be sharing. But what makes content special, and this was something that Gabe Wahab, who was responsible for Content Hub actually at HubSpot, said in his micro lesson is, if I can prompt into ChatGPT or Google your blog, it's not good. So what's important is how you add that expertise, how you add your own touch to the blog. And that's what this gives the opportunity for you to do, is just generate that content, that base content with the like information that you need. And then you can just add in what that like special sauce is that's going to keep your readers coming back.
Exactly. And like here, just like looking at this draft, few things that stand out to me right off the bat is, we've got one headline, which is our post title, and then just a bunch of content. So there's some structural things that aren't here for me. And that could be a whole other micro lesson on its own about how to properly structure this for SEO. But it gives me the bones, right? I could come back in here and I could continue to chat with Copilot, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to get to the next step. But again, come in here, iterate on it, say, give me headlines, add some structure, things like that. But I can always do this too. I can just hit create draft, blog draft in HubSpot. and it's now created. Just pop over to this tab. So we've got our title in there, and then we've got our blog post. Now, like I was saying, it's not like fully structured the way I would want. So I could come in here and let's just go ahead and select an area of text and now click on refine. And I can go apply my brand voice. I can rewrite it. I can expand on it, shorten it. I can change the tone, or I can do something completely different. And I call this like the free form method. But first, let's start with expand. So I want a nice, strong intro. So it's given me an intro, which is cool. And I'm going to go replace. Now that's a little bit longer. And now I can look at this and I can go, okay, well, where do I need to format this? Does it flow? Things like that. But now I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to grab it again. I'm going to go refine. I'm going to say something else because I like to write my content in the second person. So let's go rewrite in the second person. So here we go. So it's gone from just general speak, and now let's make it personal. You know, it's going into where it says survival strategy. So originally it said survival strategy, comma, businesses are in a relentless pursuit. Now it's switched it to essential survival strategy. You are in a relentless pursuit. So it's a little bit more personal, and you can bring that in. And then just hit replace, and it's now replaced that here. So I can continue to iterate over each part of this blog. And if I just do this little slash, I can just go in and I can say generate a paragraph, or I can go just give me a headline and insert. Now I have a new headline. Whoops. Sometimes formatting's a little goofy. And I can now give structure to my blog. I can say, you know what, I want to add an image in here. And just describe it and say something cool, a robot, whichever. And let's do a landscape and just generate.
Oh, here we go. I hope it's as good as the images that one of our teammates generate. Will Davidson, shout out to you, dude.
So it's kind of cool. Not the coolest image, but kind of cool. But what's really cool is today they announced that HubSpot announced that they've switched from the OpenAI Dolly platform to Stability, which gives a bit more crisper images. You can get a little bit more creative with it. And you can just continue to prompt that and improve it. But now you can just put all those pieces together, build out your outline, and you have a working blog to start with.
And that's in half of the time, and you can probably get so much more out of that time that you spend creating it.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of things that we can do. Even like this is just a cool little example. So if we go into all prompts and you look at this generate side, you can come in here and you can like look at all the stuff you can do. Generate a LinkedIn article, an elevator pitch, blog post, blog ideas, headings, knowledge base article. Pretty much anywhere that there's content inside of HubSpot, CoPilot can work with it and do generation. So we were talking emails, landing pages, blog posts, pretty much anything. And you can just have conversations with it about the data that's in the system.
And that's the thing about content, right? Like content doesn't just stop at blogs. And I think if there's one thing that we know for a fact, even based on our own operations, that content repurposing can take a lot of time.
Yes.
And I think a lot of like if you're out there and you're doing like an omni-channel strategy, you know what we're talking about, right? Like it takes a lot of time to make one piece of content to a bunch of different things. And then Copilot does that. And then there's even something on top of it, which is content remix, right?
Yeah. And content remix is really, it's what's going to fulfill that omnipresent strategy, right? So if you want to be everywhere, always, all at once, you can come into HubSpot, you can go into content and come up to content remix here, which is really cool. And I can just go start remixing. So an example is one of our team members, they did a video on how to set up a prospecting target account list inside of Apollo. And I come in here and I can upload that video. I already have it uploaded. And I can just select that video. And then what do I want to do with that video, right? I can come in here and I can say, you know what? I want to create a blog post about it. I want to create an email to promote it, and I want to create a social post to promote it. So I'm just going to hit next. And in here, I get to now start adding some context, right? So for the blog, I might put something in, let's see here. What am I thinking?
And that's like the part where we were talking about, which is like where you can sprinkle a little bit more of what you really want to get and the message you really want to get from the content that HubSpot produces for you, right?
Exactly. So I can put in here, like from this video, because it's a how-to style video, I can say create a how-to style article with a call to action to schedule a call with a rep from growth. For a top of funnel, probably not the best call to action, but just for the purposes of the example, it's good. And then I can say, okay, well, what length do I want this? Do I want it to be a medium article, long article, short article, whichever? Top of funnel, let's stay with short or medium. And we can say, let's also generate an image for it. And we'll come down here to the email. You can pre-set up different templates for generated content and put those in. And then for social, I'm going to put this on Growth's LinkedIn company page. And, you know, I can say something like, share the idea on LinkedIn, written in the second person, 3 tips to success for creating a prospecting target account list. And let's just add an image. Now I'm going to hit generate. And those 3 components are now being generated for me.
It does take a little bit of a while, but
but like in perspective,
yeah,
we're saying this takes a while, but how long would that have traditionally taken you to do?
Exactly, right? And like if you're writing everything from scratch, I think everybody here knows the feeling of opening up LinkedIn to create a post and going like, oh, I got nothing. Like you might use ChatGPT to help you get started, whatever. Maybe emails, you look at other emails. But this just throws you already at that starting point. So it's like, okay, like you can just pick it up from where it's gotten you.
Yeah. So now we've got a blog post, we've got an email, we've got social content. So we can click on the social. Cool. This image, not going to work for this, but you know, whatever. It's a good starting point. We've got some formatting things to clean up, but again, it's a starting point. So I can go ahead and hit save and edit, and then I go edit my social post. The same with any of these pieces of content. But now, what if I want to extend this further, right? Okay, we've got a blog post. Let's create an audio file that we can put out on a podcast. Let's create an email to promote the post, and let's create another social post to promote that blog post. So in here, now I'm going to go back to growth, and I'm going to say, help promote the blog article. And these are not the exact prompts that I would suggest using, but they're good for just kind of, here's a general how to get started piece. And we're going to generate an image for that one as well. Now I'm going to go generate. So we've got an audio file generating now that we can use on a podcast. We've got an email to promote the blog post and a social post. And I can keep chaining all these things together and they just continue to build off of each other. So in less than 20 minutes, we've taken a video, we've made a blog post, we've made a promotional email, we've created a social post, we've created an audio file for a podcast, we've created an email and another social post. Now I can take this audio file and I can go and generate a whole bunch of B-roll video to put over it, right? So there's lots of cool little things we can do. A feature I was seeing that's being talked about is the ability to take this video and also split it into clips. So you can put it out as your short form video content on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super powerful. Like even, I think yesterday I sent Rich a document talking about a promotion plan for a lead magnet that we have. And in some cases, depending on what the kind of content that you're starting with, instead of building that on a Google Doc, yeah, you can have that too, but you can literally build it here. And it's like, okay, like for an example, the document that we had, we're going to need a couple emails, we're going to need some social content and everything like that. It's like, I can just put that initial piece of content, whatever the lead magnet is here, and literally have a first draft version of everything that we're going to need for the whole promotion campaign done in like less than a minute for everything.
Exactly. And if you come back to like the homepage of Content Remix, I can come in here and there's already some templates that are built, right? And as you continue to build remixes, there are different, it will save the remix you built and you can just reuse that. But like if I came in here, like the one that you were talking, I can come in here and go web pages and I can go to the landing page and I can pick that landing page, the outreach strategy, and that can be my starting point. And now I can just repurpose all those pieces, get the first draft, schedule them, and then they're ready to go. Yep. So we talked a lot about the marketing side of things. Is there, what else do we want to talk about?
Let's see. I think one thing is worth mentioning too, and that's like the really cool thing just about AI in any platform like this is like, the more you use it, the better it will become, the more integrated it is into your HubSpot. So like with Breeze, one thing you should just access the CoPilot, and one thing you should just access the Remix. But like the more you use these tools, the more you integrate like them into how much you use. And as time goes by, just like ChatGPT, like how you can train and it gets better, and every time you're like, oh, this sounds more like the answer I want. Same kind of thing is going to happen here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's other use cases, right? So like I'm not just always thinking about the marketing side. How can Copilot help with sales, right? So I can pop that open and I could just say something like, show me software companies in Boston. And I can start building a target list, help find new prospects, and start writing emails to reach out to these people. I could say, help me write a cold outreach email to Klaviyo. I don't know if that fits, but pitching our growth ops service, right? And because we've programmed some of these things in already, boom, there's my email. I wouldn't recommend an email that long, but again, it's just another use case. Like you're sitting in that moment trying to figure something out. We could even go in here if you're on the service side and you can say, you know, maybe you're a customer support role and you're not sure what the next steps are on a ticket that you're dealing with. You could just go and put in, what do you recommend I do for this ticket? Or summarize my history with this company. And you're just kind of able to pull and extract all that information like on the fly. And it's game changer.
Yeah. And the cool thing is like, for example, we're talking a lot about new generation and new content, but Copilot's on every single page of HubSpot. It's available everywhere. And so like repurposing old content or recreating old content, going through like old sales emails, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually used to do outreach like that last year. We've all been there. And then doing a little bit of regeneration, changing a little bit, adding company voice to the emails. Same thing for service too, right? And so it's kind of like all over the platform, and it's one of those things that just empowers everybody individually as well. I think a little bit more to use the tool, because normally you see pretty often where somebody will have a pretty good grasp of like a portion of HubSpot, but because it's such a big platform with so many capabilities, they might not understand exactly how to do everything around it. And kind of Breeze kind of bridges that gap a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything you want to cover more than that.
Yeah, I mean, growth is doing the Breeze cohort. Maybe we can talk about that for a quick second.
That's very important. Thank you.
It's a free cohort that we're launching, really to help dive into some of these tools within Breeze. Make sure you're following the best practices. Chris has been talking about it a lot. So if you can probably drop the link for it on LinkedIn there or find that there. But we are taking on 10 companies to really show them how to implement these things into their business. You just have to be a HubSpot user, of course.
It's like setting up the agents. Like you guys saw, like in the example that Rich did, he said, hey, like create an email using your growth service. There's setting up that you need to do on the behind the scenes on how for that to work as well as it does. And so that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a good time too, because only a few companies. So you can bring, I think this is worth saying too, you can bring more than just yourself.
Yeah.
Like
you can
bring your
team.
service team, bring your marketing team, your sales team, like come, bring everybody. Like it's going to be a party.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like for me, I want to see different teams showing up, not just the marketers looking to figure out how to create content faster. I want to see the sales teams. How can they leverage that? There's a whole bit that we're going to talk about data enrichment and how Breeze can help with that. So bring your sales team, bring your service team, whoever is on your team, bring the whole kit and caboodle. And there's something for each of you in that cohort.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And with that, I think we're just a little bit over time. But if you guys have more questions about Breeze, content remix, and everything like that, again, you can join the cohort or you can reach out to us either to LinkedIn. Rich and I are active over there, or to our community, the Redwood Growth, which is for GTM leaders. So if that sounds like you should definitely check it out. And yeah, anything else you want to leave with the people before we close out this lesson?
No, I hope to see you all in the cohort. If you got questions about Breeze and use cases and how you can start leveraging it, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. Check out some of the posts that we've got going on. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Awesome. So with that, Rich, thank you so much for presenting the lesson with us. Again, if you guys saw this on LinkedIn, drop a comment, please. I'll go ahead and check that out. And for everybody else, you'll also be able to see this on YouTube. It's probably where you see me now. With that, that's the end of another micro lesson. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next lesson.